Good afternoon from Kigali here, the Africa CEO Forum. I'm together with Ebenezer Asante, Senior Vice President, Southern and East Africa, Ghana and Sudan regions at the MTN Group. Hello, Ebenezer. Nice to meet you again.
Hello, nice to meet you. Thanks for inviting me for this interaction.
It's always a pleasure. We just finished a strategic roundtable about Fair Sky designing the rules for Africa's connectivity frontier. If you look at LEO satellites, they're being sold as the main solution for Africa's connectivity gap. So you as a terrestrial operator, do you see them more as a partner or real threat to your classical operating model?
I see LEO to be part of the solution.
Yeah.
And I see them to be part of the solution within the bigger context of the problem that we are trying to solve in Africa. You know about the 57% digital divide.
Yeah.
You know about the fact that 7 out of 10 Africans are offline.
Yeah.
And there is a need to take the online service to the bulk of the population in Africa. That is part of the problem. And you can distill the problem into digital gap, usage gap, and coverage gap.
Yeah.
We have done a very good job to cover.
Yeah.
So coverage is almost near perfect. But we still have usage gap.
Yeah.
And the usage gap is affordability gap. That is one part of the problem. But the other part is also the infrastructure gap.
Yeah.
So in terms of the infrastructure, despite MTN's best effort in building digital infrastructure and investing $2 billion every year, in line with the ambition 2030, there is still $100 billion gap to be filled. This required shared partnership, shared ownership, and collaborative efforts within the industry, working with other group of 6 African operators in the continent, and also working with other sovereign entities and governments. So that is one layer. And you put this satellite solution within a solution of architect in terms of how do we deliver the last mile to our customers. There is the wholesale side, whereby we use the satellites as part of the supply chain to deliver the last mile. And then there is the retail side, whereby we need to find ways to partner and complement one another. So for me, I look at the satellite issue and what the satellite brings as part of the digital infrastructure investment gap that we need to fill. And we need to fill it in a way that is sustainable, that is balanced, that also ensures parity in physical treatment, and also parity in license approach, amongst others. When that is done and it's guaranteed, and it also preserves the investment in the ecosystem, the investment in the terrestrial infrastructure, I would say that solution is a viable solution for the future as well. And it will be part of finding and filling the gap in terms of usage and filling the gap in terms of digital investment and helping to improve the digital divide in the continent.
So it's more like a natural evolution to bring in the satellite.
It should be a natural evolution, but the regulation in that regard has to be carefully thought through so that it is not, lopsided. And that is the kind of conversation that is required into the future. We should avoid the slippage of the OTT in the past so that it does not extend here, because there is a lot of work to be done, and nothing should also disincentivize the investment that is ongoing for the terrestrial side. We need a terrestrial, and we need the LEOs as well.
So during the strategic roundtable, an industry partner or industry colleague of yours already mentioned that yes, satellite can close a gap, but what are we doing in rural areas? You mentioned earlier the usage gap. The usage gap shows clearly that we have an issue in affordable devices. How can we give people the devices on a price point that they really use the internet? So don't you think there's a kind of a chicken and egg situation with rural areas? Is it the connectivity? Is it the device? Where do we start?
I think it's the device, because I've already indicated that the coverage gap has been closed to a large extent.
Yeah.
but we still have a huge digital divide.
Yeah.
The coverage of all the markets that I work with, no single market has coverage of less than 95%
Yeah.
in terms of population. But the question is, why would you have over 95% population coverage, but you still have 7 out of 10 offline?
Yeah.
You still have 57 digital divide, disadvantage. So it tells you that the device issue is a real issue.
Yeah.
And for me, the solution to the device issue is to start with the nation state.
Yeah.
And the engagement that we are having is, first and foremost, let's remove the tariff
Yeah.
placed on entry-level devices, entry-level smartphones, because the shortage in memory chips has also made the prices of devices more expensive.
Yeah.
So if on top of that expense, we are also imposing tariff, it makes it even more expensive.
Yeah. I hear you.
Devices that used to cost about $40 2 years ago, today is about $80.
Yeah.
So the clear appeal and the engagement that we're also having is to ensure that at least entry-level devices should be tax-free.
Yeah.
That's the first one. The second one is also working with government and other industry players and the device manufacturers to look at the device ecosystem, the entire supply chain, and see where we can take costs out. And then also look at the model of delivery. Is it going to be in-source, in-country assembling like it's done in Kenya? It was previously done in Rwanda, amongst other countries.
Yeah.
Or is going to be the device financing like it's done in many other countries? How do we scale device financing? All this will be part of the solution.
Yeah.
So the first part is, let's remove the tariff on entry-level smartphones. The second part is, let's look for ways to bring the cost down, looking at the entire value chain. And the third one is scaling and industrializing device financing so that no one has to sweat and look for money bigger than their daily wage to be able to buy a device. But if they can get a device the same way we also sell the airtime to them, so that the device cost can be bundled as part of the airtime, then they don't need to put a cash outlay to own a device. So those are some of the solutions we are working on. But all can be sustained when the tariff drop. And then whatever it remains is what you then find the other approaches to really ramp up the device ecosystem.
To operate a mobile network across Africa from a Pan-African perspective
Yeah.
needs a lot of investment for operation.
Yes.
But you also have a lot of obstacles from a regulatory perspective, licensing perspective, tax perspective. If you look at satellite players when they're entering the markets without the same licensing burden like a terrestrial operator, don't you think the playing field is fundamentally unfair?
It is, and that is what we are engaged around. So first, we need to ensure that there is harmonized regulatory, okay? Because if at the end of the day, we are all solving the same problem, then we should be treated the same way. That's the first one. And we should not be treated in a way that also discourages investment, because as I indicated, we still have $100 billion investment gap to fill, okay? And then we must also ensure fiscal parity in terms of taxation, in terms of regulation fee, in terms of frequency fees, etc., etc. And also ensure that when it comes to the wholesale side, where we use the satellite as part of our backhaul, or we use them as part of our transmission, that is great. And that wholesale partnership will continue. But when it comes to the retail side, that is where we also need to ensure that the competition in that space is fair, is equitable, and is balanced.
Yeah, true. Is MTN actually exploring any satellite partnership, or is the bet firmly on terrestrial expansion?
I think the way to go with all disruptive technologies, satellite not an exception, is to find a way of partnering and MTN is in partnership with all of them.
Yeah.
Just recently, we launched we tested a solution of D2C, direct to sell
All right.
solution in Zambia. There's another one in South Africa, and many others. So we are expanding the partnership model because we need to be on the right side of technology. We need to do what we need to do with the investment that we put in, but at the same time, we should also take advantage of some of these emerging technologies. So MTN does not really see the emerging technologies as threats. All we are asking for is regulation that is in tune and in line with the evolution of technology. That's all we are asking for.
Yeah, that makes totally sense. So you're in rooms with Africa's top CEOs this week. So what conversations is energizing you the most right now?
The biggest conversation energizing me is scale or field. That, for me, that's the biggest thing. And I hope that we will be able to look at it in all ways, including the kind of political mindset required to bring about the scaling. Because Africa continue to play in silo. But if you look at even the geopolitical issues that we are contending with, the continent must build resilience. So we scale not only from the point of view of the size of balance sheet, we scale in order to build resilience. We scale in order to bring all this technology to converge for the good of the people and make the technology relevant for our customers and for the society. But how can you make technology relevant when you have all these constraints and impediments in the way? Why do you need 56 different regulations in 56 different markets? You don't need that.
So there should be a blueprint.
It should be a blueprint, okay? And that is why the biggest request coming from MTN, in all respect, is that the digital borders must fall. And we'll continue to sound this until they fall. Because the digital borders falling will be in the best nation state interest. And it will be in the best interest of the continent and in the interest of the citizens of the continent. Because we need to be able to help businesses to grow beyond the borders. We need to be able to let SMEs connect digitally and be on African payment platform to be able to receive payment and also extend the services. We need to be able to build the big Africa e-commerce backhaul to be able to, provide the logistical support to back the payment and the delivery of goods, etc., etc. And all this can be possible when the digital borders fall, when the nation states work seamlessly, and in the long run, when Africa indeed get super integrated in terms of technology, in terms of policy, and in terms of regulations.
I couldn't agree more less.
Thank you very much.
If you look at what you said, it's all about regulation, policy, and political will. So what's the one policy change you'd want African regulators to make tomorrow to actually accelerate universal access and to improve the digital transformation on the continent?
One policy change for me is the ability to passport some of our licenses. So I take one passport, I get a seal, and that seal enables me to take that service everywhere. And on this note, I am happy with the work already commenced between Ghana, Rwanda, and Kenya in the area of digital financial services. And I think once that is finalized and we see through execution, it can also be a blueprint for adoption along the line. It's very encouraging, and that should be promoted.
So we remain optimistic.
Very, very optimistic. And I think some of the signs we are seeing are very, very good. And we should just be encouraged to also scale some of these initiatives that we are seeing so that it will not just be within 5 countries, but it can have a continental effect.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Okay. That was TechAfrica News from the Africa CEO Forum here in Kigali, and you can find more on techafricanews.com.